It was Christmas Eve in Milltown, a sleepy, snow-covered town nestled between pine-covered hills and forgotten memories. The streets shimmered under the glow of string lights, and laughter echoed from warm homes where families gathered around fireplaces and trees trimmed with golden tinsel. But just outside this bubble of comfort, under the awning of a closed bakery, sat an old man in a threadbare coat, hugging a tattered duffel bag close to his chest. His name was Henry Monroe, once a proud carpenter, now invisible to the world. Time had stolen many things from Henry, his wife to cancer, his daughter to distance, and his home to unpaid bills. What remained was the ache of loneliness and the bitter cold of December nights. No one looked twice as they passed him, no one except a boy named Eli. Eli was 10 years old, small for his age, with a mop of curly hair that his mother never quite managed to tame. He had just come out of the toy store with his father, holding a brand new action figure, Captain Courageous, the very one he'd been dreaming about for months. As they passed the bakery, Eli tugged on his father's coat. "Dad, who's that man?" His father barely glanced over. "Just someone down on his luck, son. Let's keep moving." But Eli didn't. He stood rooted to the spot, staring at Henry, who sat hunched over, breathing mist into his cupped hands. There was something in the old man's eyes, something Eli couldn't name, but felt deep inside his chest. "Wait here," Eli whispered, and before his father could stop him, he walked over and knelt beside the man. "Mister? Are you okay?" Henry looked up slowly. His eyes, pale blue and clouded by time, widened in surprise. "I'm fine, son," he said hoarsely. "Just a bit cold." Eli looked down at his gloved hands and then at his new toy. Without another word, he held it out. "Merry Christmas." Henry blinked. "You want me to have this?" Eli nodded. "Captain Courageous never leaves anyone behind." Henry chuckled softly, the sound like dry leaves. "Well then, thank you, young man." By the time Eli's father caught up, the toy had changed hands, and Henry was smiling in a way he hadn't in years. "You didn't have to do that," his father said gently, as they walked away. Eli shrugged. "He needed it more than me." That night, Henry didn't feel the cold quite as much. He tucked the toy under his coat and whispered, "Captain Courageous, huh? Guess we're partners now." Across town, in a cozy living room glowing with firelight, a woman named Sarah Green stared out the window. She was 38, single, and had just been let go from her job at the publishing house. Her apartment was warm, but her heart felt cold, empty. The holidays had never felt lonelier. She wrapped herself in a shawl and sat down to write Christmas cards she had no intention of mailing. The truth was, she didn't have many friends left. After losing her mother 2 years ago, Sarah had withdrawn. The world seemed too fast, too cruel, and too indifferent. Just then, a memory surfaced. When she was 7, her mother had taken her downtown to hand out sandwiches to the homeless on Christmas Eve. One man had cried just holding a ham sandwich. "You have no idea what this means to me," he'd said. Sarah stood abruptly. She rummaged through her pantry, pulling out canned goods and bread. Then she remembered her mother's old red thermos, the one they used for cocoa, and filled it to the brim. She bundled everything into 2 bags, grabbed her coat, and stepped into the snow. Henry was dozing when he heard the crunch of boots on snow. He opened his eyes to see a woman standing in front of him, breath fogging up in the winter air. "I thought you could use something warm," she said, offering a thermos. He stared at her, confused. Why would you do that?" "Because my mom taught me that kindness is a gift. And it should be shared, especially with those who need it most." Henry's lip trembled as he took the thermos. He opened it and inhaled. Hot cocoa. "You okay?" Sarah asked gently. He nodded. "You're the second angel I've met today." She laughed, a sound that felt good in her chest, like something that had been locked away too long. For the next hour, they talked. Henry told her about his late wife, about the shop he'd lost, about a daughter named Grace he hadn't heard from in 6 years. Sarah listened, really listened, and the walls around her heart began to crack. Before she left, she handed him a scarf and her number. In case you need someone to talk to. He clutched it like a lifeline. The next day, Sarah made a few calls. She didn't know why, but she couldn't stop thinking about Henry. She contacted shelters, searched records, and eventually found Grace Monroe's name in a nurse registry in Chicago. It took several tries, but finally, a voice answered. Hello. Hi. I'm sorry to bother you, but, are you Grace Monroe, daughter of Henry Monroe? There was silence. Then a quiet, cautious, why? Sarah told her everything. About the bakery, the duffel bag, the toy, the cocoa. About the way Henry still talked about her like she was the greatest thing he ever built. Grace cried. She had thought he was gone, dead, maybe. They had parted on angry terms, after a fight about her moving away. She tried writing once or twice but never heard back. Time had dulled the urgency. But now it burned again. Where is he? 2 days later, a small, silver car pulled up outside the shelter where Henry had finally agreed to stay. He sat on the steps, nervously sipping cocoa from the thermos Sarah had refilled daily. The door opened. A woman stepped out, hair tied back, coat flapping in the wind. Her eyes met his, and time fell away. Dad? Henry stood slowly. Gracie? She ran to him, and for the first time in 6 years, they embraced. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I should have come sooner. No, he said, burying his face in her shoulder. You came when it mattered. Weeks passed. Henry moved in with Grace. He got help, got clean clothes, and even started volunteering at a local woodworking shop. He made toy trains for foster kids, benches for schools, and repaired broken chairs like old memories being mended. Sarah came by often. She and Grace became friends, bonded by a man they both cared about. Eli visited too, bringing drawings for Henry and insisting that Captain Courageous needed updates on their missions. Kindness had rippled outward, from a boy with a toy, to a woman with cocoa, to a daughter who found her way back. On Easter Sunday, the town organized a Day of Giving, inspired by Henry's story. People brought clothes, food, and time. They shared stories, healed wounds, and built something beautiful together. At the center of it all stood Henry Monroe, holding a sign that read, "Kindness isn't charity. It's humanity." When a reporter asked him what changed everything, he smiled and said, "A boy gave me a toy. A woman gave me cocoa. But more than that, they gave me hope." The gift of kindness isn't wrapped in bows or bought in stores. It lives in small gestures, shared humanity, and the courage to care. In giving it away, we often find it returns to us tenfold, sometimes when we need it most.